Hello, good morning, students of 10th B and 10th F. Today we are going to learn the second chapter, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. This part is from his book, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. It is from his autobiography. Beautiful entry, the day Africa got freedom. Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, written by Nelson Mandela. His full name is Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela. It's a very important chapter. No question paper is left without the questions from this chapter. So it's very important. Must listen thoroughly because so many questions can come from this chapter. 2 marks questions, 4 marks question and value based questions, 8 marks question. So as I told you already, this chapter has been taken from Nelson Mandela's book of the same name, Nelson Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. The name of the book is the same as the title. It provides us a glimpse of the early life of Nelson Mandela, his education, 30 years in prison, and the pains he had suffered in his young age. You know a lot many things about Nelson Mandela, how Gandhiji is to us father of the nation. Same, Africans consider Nelson Mandela as their father of their nation. So in this chapter, in this part of autobiography, we study a little bit about his early life, his education, 30 years he was in prison, and the pains he had suffered in his young age being a black man. The chapter recounts his fight for the freedom for his own people who were tortured by whites. In this chapter, Mandela gives two contradictory pictures of his own country. One in which the blacks were tortured and suffered quietly, and the second one, the blacks will be free to live the life of their own. So about the characters, if we say, main character is Nelson Mandela, first black president of South Africa, who fought for the equal rights of the blacks. He suffered a lot of pain for the freedom. The second character is Manny, daughter of Nelson Mandela, who accompanied Mandela in his inauguration day. She was very much close to him. And the third character we come across, Thabo Mbeki, first deputy president of South Africa, who was very close to Mandela. Next character, Mr. Klerk, second deputy president of South Africa. These are the main characters. So in the introductory part, it is given some of the difficult words we find in this chapter many times. Introductory part, before you read, apartheid is a political system that separates people according to their race. Can you say which of the three countries named below had such a political system until very recently? Here in India we have caste-based separation prejudices. In United States of America, South Africa, Australia. Think over it. Have you heard of Nelson Mandela? You have already heard about him. Mandela and his African National Congress spent a lifetime fighting against apartheid. It's a political system that separates people according to their race. And Mandela fought for this, what do we call, prejudice. In India we have untouchability. So Mandela had to spend 30 years in prison while fighting against apartheid. Finally, democratic elections were held in South Africa in 1994, and Mandela became the first black president of a new nation. First two paragraphs, next page also it is given the autobiography, Long Walk to Freedom. Mandela speaks about a historic occasion, the inauguration. Can you guess what the occasion might be? Check your guess with this news item from the BBC of 10th May 1994. This was the first speech given by Nelson Mandela when they got freedom from the hands of these whites. This was a news clipping. Mandela becomes South Africa's first black president. Nelson Mandela has become South Africa's first black president after more than 3 centuries of white rule. 3 centuries, 300 years. Africa was under the control of the whites. We Indians know very well. We don't know, but our forefathers know. Near about 700 years, India was ruled by the Britishers. Mr. Mandela's African National Congress, ANC, party won 252 of the 400 seats in the first democratic elections of South Africa's history. More than majority, more than half. The inauguration ceremony took place in the Union Buildings of Amphitheatre in Pretoria today. That building is still there, attended by politicians and dignitaries from more than 140 countries around the world. Never, never again will this beautiful land experience the oppression of one by another, said Nelson Mandela in his address. He took a vow. It's no more. He took a vow on that day. He will not allow the people of Africa again oppressed by other. Jubilant scenes on the streets of Pretoria followed the ceremony with the blacks, whites and coloreds celebrating together. More than 1 lakh South African men, women and children of all races sang and danced with joy. So, on the next page, it is written some activity. Try to read them and find the answers. I come to the first paragraph. 10th May dawned bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged by dignitaries and world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering ever of international leaders on South African soil. It was such a wonderful gathering. 10th May, dawned bright, 10th May, dawned the morning. It was filled with bright, morning was very bright and clear. For the past few days, I had been pleasantly besieged. I hear Nelson Mandela. Part is taken from his own autobiography. Besieged means surrounded closely by dignitaries, officials, world leaders who were coming to pay their respects before the inauguration. The inauguration would be the largest gathering. It was such a moment. The ceremonies took place in the lovely sandstone amphitheater. Amphitheater means a building without a roof with many rows of seats rising in steps like a stadium, typical of ancient Greece and Rome. Just like a stadium, no roof. For decades, this had been the seat of white supremacy. White people were overpowering all these things. No blacks were allowed to enter even in that theater. And now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors. Now it is looking like a rainbow. White people are there, black, all kinds. And now it was a site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic and non-racial government. First government formed non-racial. On that lovely autumn day, I was accompanied by my daughter Manny on the inauguration day of this democratic government, non-racial government. His daughter Zanani was also with him. On the podium, on the stage, Mr. Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president. Then Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. When it was my turn, I pledged to obey and uphold the Constitution and to devote myself to the well-being of the Republic and its people. As you win in the election, you take the oath to obey and uphold the rules and regulations of the school, same way of the country. To the assembled guests and the watching world, I said, Mandela said, today all of us do, by our presence here, confer glory and hope to newborn liberty. Confer, give. Out of the experience of an extraordinary human disaster that lasted too long, because the Africans were under the control of the whites. That is the end. This inauguration is the end of that human disaster, extraordinary human disaster. Black people were considered as slaves. And he told this also must be born a society of which all humanity will be proud. All humanity will be proud. Now we have a new government. We will uphold our nation on the top. And I will I am taking an oath for the well-being state of cheerfulness, glory, grace. We who were outlaws not so long ago, outlaws. For black people, no laws are there. They are considered as slaves. Outlaws means who do not observe laws or rules. have today been given the rare privilege, but today onwards, we black Africans have been given the rare privilege, uncommon right to be host to the nations of the world on our own soil. Such a huge gathering. We black people arranged this because we got freedom. We thank all of our distinguished international guests for having come to take possession with the people of our country of what is after all a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. And he thanked everybody, all those people who were present over there. There were distinguished international guests who witnessed there to see Nelson Mandela take possession. It was a sign of a common victory for justice, for peace, for human dignity. We have at last, he said in the next para, we have at last achieved our political emancipation, freedom from restriction. We got a liberation. We pledge ourselves to liberate all our people from the continuing bondage of poverty. I pledge. We all pledge ourselves to liberate. Liberate means free. Giving freedom to all our people from the continuing bondage, slavery. We are slaves of poverty, poor, deprivation, state of not having any benefit from the government, from the white people, suffering, gender and other discrimination. Today I tell you, we all are free from all these things: poverty, deprivation, suffering, gender and other discrimination. Never, never and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another. He promised that also. He will never allow anybody in this beautiful land to oppress us. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement. The sun shall never set. Sun will be shining forever on so glorious human achievement. Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. This glorious land, beautiful land, sun shall never set on. And he wished everyone, let freedom reign. Freedom will be there. God bless Africa. So today I end till here. Read again, I told you, read thoroughly. As I told you, it's very important chapter and many new words are there. Emancipation, freedom from restriction, deprivation, discrimination, treated differently and unfavorably, just like not like human beings. So these words are very important. So we continue. It's a long chapter about Nelson Mandela. Next we will see his early life, his education, etc., etc. Swearing in ceremony and a display of the military power by South African jets. All these things we will find here. Okay, read the chapter once again. If any doubt, ask me. Okay, thank you. See you again tomorrow. Stay safe and healthy. Okay, thank you one and all.